Alright, this should cover the first half of the construction unit. I'm going to run through it quickly to make sure I get through everything. Alright, this is, say we have this line segment, we want to copy that line segment. You draw a sample line that might not be long enough. Measure it. Draw the same thing. And that's that line segment. Now if you want to recreate an angle, let's say I want that angle, you're going to draw your initial line, create an arbitrary line there, or angle there, make sure the two match up with that. Oops. There you go. This is really hard with attaching a marker to this. It doesn't work very well. So that should be about the same. Alright, now if you want to create a perpendicular bisector, you want to bisect this line. What I'm going to do is I'm going to and connect them. If you do it right, this should be a perpendicular bisector, should be 90 degrees, and this side should be equal to this side. If now in this situation you have a line, you can't bisect it because, and you have a point. You want a perpendicular line running through that point and being perpendicular to this line. You can't do it quite the same way as when you had a line segment, because this extends forever. So what you're going to do is try to make it into similar conditions by going like this, and now using these points, so we can act as though these are the points of a line segment. That distance should be the same. Same over here. Connect those two. Alright. Now if you want to bisect an angle, means cut it into two equal parts. What I'm going to do, so I'm going to pick an arbitrary distance. Just like that. Ta-da! Okay. The median of a triangle is when the line drawn bisects the other side. So I'm going to draw a line from here that bisects this side. The difficult part is constructing that. From when we did the perpendicular bisector, we learned how to bisect something, so we can use the same method. Okay, there we go. And we know that right there, about right there is the center of this, so that part is the same as that part. So we're going to connect the line, and that's the median. Now if I want to draw the altitude is when you have the perpendicular Now what I'm going to want is I'm going to want a line down here, or from here, this vertex, coming down, creating a perpendicular line here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this is the same as when we had the point in the line. Here's my point, here's my line. These two lines over here don't really matter much. So now what I'm going to do, I may need to extend this line on a little bit for convenience. There's one point, there's the other point. Now if this is done right, it should be equal to 90 degrees or perpendicular bisector. That looks pretty close. Sometimes though, you have a little more difficulties when you have an obtuse triangle. See if I can draw a good example for you. Because occasionally the altitude will actually be outside of the triangle. which confuses some people. Now if I want to draw the altitude from this vertex, it's going to be perpendicular to here. But obviously I can't draw a line perpendicular to there inside the triangle. So I'm going to extend the triangle outwards, like that. Now we'll do exactly the same thing as we did last time. One point, the other point. Continue this out a little longer. There we go. As you can see, that should be about 90 degrees. And it is perpendicular, but it does lie outside the triangle. Now, a mid-segment of a triangle is when you connect the midpoints of two of the lines in the triangle. So the first thing you have to do is find the midpoints of lines. So I'm going to do that, and that, and that. And I can determine that the midpoint of this line is right there. And just to keep myself from getting confused. Keep myself from getting confused, I'll erase the construction marks. Now I want to find it of this line. And right there is my other midpoint. Connect the two midpoints, and that's called a mid-segment. Alright, lastly, I'm going to cover how to draw a parallel line. We can draw a parallel line by first drawing two perpendicular lines. So I'll draw a perpendicular line to this, like that. Sorry. That's not going to fit. I'll do this a little differently, actually. I'll have a parallel line going through that point, just to make this a little bit easier. Okay. And then we do the same thing over here. We're going to run out of room. There you go. So here's our perpendicular line. Now we're going to draw a perpendicular line to this perpendicular line. So we can continue this on outwards a little bit. Some arbitrary lines. This doesn't look like I did it very well because I'm using this, obviously, but it should be pretty close to perpendicular, or parallel lines, I mean, with this. So I think that about covers chapter 3. I apologize for inconvenience because it's very difficult to construct with a compass made out of a marker. So, thank you.